So imagine this. Your company just got bought out.
Oh, wow. Stressful right from the start.
Right. You are immediately thrust into this totally new corporate structure. You're stressed. Your schedule is just a nightmare of overlapping demands, and you are spread incredibly thin.
Basically the modern work experience in a nutshell.
Exactly. So you make this radical, like almost unthinkable decision. You secretly start acting like an outside consultant within your own company.
Wait, secretly?
Secretly. You quietly decline 80% of your meetings without telling your boss. You stop volunteering for committees. Do you get fired? Actually, you get the biggest bonus of your career.
I mean, it sounds like a corporate fairy tale, right? But it is a very real scenario that highlights a fundamental misunderstanding we have about how value is actually created in the modern world.
Well, welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive, designed specifically for you, our listener. If you are looking at your calendar right now and realizing, you haven't had a single hour of uninterrupted deep work all week, you are absolutely in the right place. We are exploring the core concepts from Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit of less. And I really want to set the premise right out of the gate here. This is not a time management hack.
No, definitely.
We are not talking about the Pomodoro technique or how to process your inbox faster so you can somehow squeeze like 3 more projects into your Friday. This is about a systematic discipline for getting only the right things done.
Yeah, the core promise of what we're unpacking today is really about helping you reclaim control of your choices. Because the sobering reality is that if you do not deliberately choose where to spend your precious time and energy, you basically leave a vacuum.
Right. And nature abhors a vacuum.
Exactly. And other people, your boss, your colleagues, your family, or, just the algorithm on your phone, they will gladly step into that vacuum and make those choices for you.
Man, that is so true. So, okay, let's unpack this. To really grasp what essentialism is, I think we first have to look at what it isn't. The source text gives this really great visual of human energy as a circle.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Yeah, so a non-essentialist has all these little arrows pointing out of the circle in like a million different directions. They're exerting a massive amount of energy, but they're only making a millimeter of progress in each of those directions.
Right, just totally diffused.
But the essentialist has just one large arrow pointing straight up. They take that exact same amount of energy, channel it into a single trajectory, and make massive, satisfying progress.
It makes a huge difference.
To put my own spin on it, it's like trying to water a giant lawn with a spray bottle set to mist.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You're squeezing the trigger 1,000 times until your hand cramps, getting a fine mist everywhere, but the roots are dying. Essentialism is switching that nozzle to a direct, powerful stream and actually soaking the roots of the few plants that matter.
That is a very visceral way to understand it, actually. And we can see this philosophy applied perfectly in the physical world, specifically through Dieter Rams.
The designer, right?
Yeah, the legendary lead designer at Braun. His guiding principle was captured in 3 German words. Weniger aber besser, less but better.
Less but better. I love that.
He applied this relentlessly to product design. So back in the mid-20th century, record players were these massive, heavy pieces of wooden furniture.
Oh yeah, like those giant consoles people had in their living rooms.
Exactly. They were built to look like sideboards. Value was entirely equated with bulk and extra features. The bigger, the better.
Right.
But Rams and his team, they took a completely different approach. They literally stripped away all the wood, all the bulk, all the assumed requirements of what a record player should be.
Wow.
And they designed this sleek machine with just a clear plastic cover. It was so radically simple that the sales department was actually terrified.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Terrified?
Yes, they literally thought it would bankrupt the company because it looked like there was, less machine to sell.
Because doing less actually takes an enormous amount of courage. I mean, you are actively pushing back against the default expectation of more.
But that clear plastic record player revolutionized the industry. He filtered through all the noise and got straight to the essence of the machine's purpose.
Which brings us back to that Silicon Valley executive I mentioned at the top of the show. The text calls him Sam Elliott.
Right, the guy who acted like a consultant.
Exactly. He was trapped in the corporate equivalent of that heavy wooden record player. He was trying to be a good corporate citizen, saying yes to every meeting, every conference call.
Just spreading himself entirely too thin.
Yeah, his stress was skyrocketing, and the quality of his work was tanking. He was so burned out, he was actually considering early retirement in his 50s.
He was majoring in minor activities, basically letting the sheer volume of his inbox dictate his entire career trajectory.
So he goes to a mentor, and the mentor gives him that wild advice. Stay, but do what you would as a consultant and nothing else. And don't tell anyone.
Which is such a bold move.
It really is. So he started using this ruthless new criteria. He asked himself, is this the very most important thing I should be doing with my time and resources right now?
Wow. And if it wasn't?
If the answer wasn't a definitive yes, he refused the request. He literally stopped attending meetings where he had no direct contribution. His reasoning was that just because he was invited wasn't a good enough reason to attend.
Which is brilliant. And the mechanics of why this worked are fascinating. Because, you would assume his colleagues would resent him.
Yeah, you'd think they'd say he's not a team player.
Right. But paradoxically, because he was only doing work that was highly valuable and tightly focused, his performance metrics skyrocketed. His colleagues actually respected him more because when he did engage, his contributions were incredibly potent. And that is how he earned the massive bonus and, more importantly, got his family life back.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have to push back a little here.
Yeah.
If becoming an essentialist makes you incredibly successful, doesn't that success just breed a whole new mountain of requests?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Because if you do a great job, you become the go-to person. You are essentially punished with more work for being good at your job. How does success not just become a catalyst for your own failure?
You've hit on the ultimate trap. McKeown actually calls it the paradox of success, and it unfolds in 4 highly predictable phases.
Okay, lay them on me.
So phase 1, you have clarity of purpose, and that specific clarity enables you to succeed. You do one thing very well.
Okay, makes sense.
Phase 2, because of that success, you gain a reputation as a competent, reliable person. So you are rewarded with increased options and opportunities.
Like I said, the reward for good work is more work.
Exactly, which triggers phase 3. Those increased options are actually just demands on your time, so your efforts become diffused across a dozen new projects.
You're back to being the spray bottle on mist.
Yes. And finally, phase 4, you become completely distracted from the very clarity that made you successful in the first place. You are no longer doing the one thing well, you're doing 20 things poorly.
Oh, wow.
The business researcher Jim Collins observed this exact same pattern in massive corporations that fail. He termed it the undisciplined pursuit of more. Companies rarely die from starvation. They die from indigestion. They overreach.
Indigestion. That is a great way to put it. And that undisciplined pursuit of more, it just sneaks up on you, especially when you think you are just being helpful or taking advantage of good opportunities.
It really does. It disguises itself as productivity.
Yeah. And the author actually shares this incredibly vulnerable story about falling into this exact trap. His wife had just given birth to their daughter. The baby is like hours old. His wife is exhausted in the hospital bed.
Such a sacred moment.
Right. And what is he doing? He's on his phone, stressed about a client meeting. A colleague had emailed him saying, Friday between 1 and 2 would be a bad time to have a baby because I need you to come be at this meeting.
Oh, that is just brutal. But the pressure to maintain that go-to reputation is immense, even in the face of a major life event.
It is. So, to his own lasting shame, he leaves his wife and newborn in the hospital and goes to the meeting.
Wow.
And the devastating kicker here is that the client didn't even respect him for it. They looked at him like, what are you doing here? You just had a baby. He sacrificed what mattered most to please a colleague, and it completely backfired. It didn't add value to the client, and it robbed his family of his presence.
It's just a painful illustration of the core underlying truth we have to face. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. The colleague prioritized that hour for him, and he blindly accepted it.
And it's not just our own internal psychology or our past successes setting this trap. If you feel overwhelmed listening to this, it is critical to understand that you're battling an external environment that is practically engineered to overwhelm you.
Absolutely engineered.
We are living in what the text describes as a perfect non-essentialist storm.
Yeah. There are 3 massive societal trends driving this storm right now. The first is simply too many choices. For the first time in human history, the sheer number of options has overwhelmed our brain's physical ability to manage them.
It's just too much input.
Right, and this leads to decision fatigue. Every time you make a choice, from what to eat for breakfast to which email to answer, you are burning a tangible amount of glucose in your brain.
So you're literally running out of fuel.
Exactly. By 4 in the afternoon, your cognitive reserves are depleted. So when a terrible committee assignment crosses your desk late in the day, you say yes. simply because evaluating the request and figuring out how to decline it requires energy you no longer have. Saying yes is the path of least resistance.
That explains so much.
The management thinker Peter Drucker explicitly warned that society is completely unprepared for this radical shift in human responsibility.
Because our brains are still wired for a scarcity of options, right? Not a daily avalanche of 1,000 viable career paths and endless entertainment streams.
Spot on. And the second trend compounding this is too much social pressure. We talk endlessly about information overload, but the real invisible danger is opinion overload.
Oh, opinion overload.
Yes. Technology hasn't just increased the data we consume, it has drastically lowered the barrier for everyone in your network to tell you what they think you should be doing with your time.
Everyone has access to you all the time. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The third trend is, I think, the most toxic of all the modern myth that you can have it all.
Oh, yeah, the have-it-all myth.
The way we use language actually proves how far off track we have gotten with this idea. Think about the history of the word priority. Get this. For 500 years, it was a singular word.
Singular.
Singular. It literally meant the very first or prior thing. By definition, there can only be one first thing.
That is wild. It makes perfect sense, but it wasn't until the 1900s that society began pluralizing it into priorities, right? Operating under the delusion that we could somehow bend reality and have multiple first things simultaneously.
Right. Now you go into an office, and they have a corporate list of priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, and priority 4.
Which is logically absurd.
Totally absurd.
Yeah.
Having 4 priorities is like installing 4 steering wheels in a car. Marketing is violently pulling to the left, sales is yanking the wheel to the right, HR is pulling backward.
And the car doesn't move forward.
It just sits in the middle of the intersection, burning rubber, spinning out of control until the tires blow out and the engine overheats.
Because if everything is a priority, nothing is.
So what does this all mean for you when your schedule is already stuffed? If your car currently has 4 steering wheels, how do we systematically escape this? How do we fix the car?
We need a framework.
Exactly. The author gives us this highly relatable framework, treating your life like a messy closet. If you never organize your physical closet, it doesn't magically stay neat. It slowly gets stuffed with clothes you never wear.
And your schedule works the exact same way. Unless a commitment has an explicit expiration date, it just lives on in perpetuity. Without a system, your life gets stuffed with commitments you no longer care about.
So to clean that closet out, Essentialism offers a continuous 3-step method: explore, eliminate, and execute. Let's look at the mechanics of each one.
Okay, so step 1, explore. Sounds incredibly counterintuitive at first. You might assume an essentialist operates by instantly saying no to everything.
Right, just walking around shooting down every idea.
But in reality, essentialists actually explore more options than non-essentialists before they commit to anything. Because they know they're only going to say yes to 1 or 2 things, they conduct a rigorous advanced search.
Okay.
They aren't just looking for a quote-unquote good opportunity. They spend a significant amount of time listening, reading, and debating to answer 3 very demanding questions. What do I feel deeply inspired by? What am I particularly talented at? And what meets a significant need in the world?
Wow.
They are hunting for their absolute highest point of contribution.
So they are trying on all the jackets in the store, but they are only going to walk to the register with the one jacket that makes them look like $1 million.
Perfect analogy.
But that brings us to the psychological block of step 2, eliminate. Let's say I found the one jacket I want, but I'm staring at 50 other jackets in my closet that I paid good money for. Throwing them away actually hurts. How do we get past that emotional friction to say no?
Yeah, that's tough. What you are describing is the sunk cost bias, specifically fueled by the endowment effect.
The endowment effect.
Yes. In behavioral economics, the endowment effect dictates that we place a higher value on an object simply because we already own it. Or, in the context of our time, we stay in a bad commitment simply because we've already invested months into it.
Oh, I've definitely done that.
We all have. So, to bypass this flaw in human psychology, the text offers a brilliant perspective-shifting question. Instead of looking at an item in your closet and asking, is there a chance I will wear this someday? You ask, if I didn't already own this, how much money would I spend to buy it right now?
Oh, that is so good. Applying that to a calendar is revolutionary. Like, if I wasn't already trapped on this weekly status committee, how much of my precious weekend would I sacrifice to earn a spot on it?
Exactly. And the answer is almost always 0.
The value instantly vanishes.
It completely neutralizes the emotional attachment. You realize the commitment has no intrinsic value to your current goals.
Okay, so once you have ruthlessly eliminated those non-essentials, you are left with the final step. Execute. And I want to spend some real time here, because in normal life, execution usually feels like grinding.
It does.
It feels like forcing things to happen, pulling all-nighters, and relying on pure willpower.
But that is the non-essentialist approach to execution. They use brute force to push projects across the finish line because they are managing 20 things at once.
Right.
But the essentialist operates entirely differently. They take all the time, energy, and mental bandwidth they save during the elimination phase, and they invest it heavily into building a frictionless system.
Frictionless.
Yes, they don't force execution. They remove the obstacles, making execution difficult. They ask, what is the primary constraint keeping this from happening, and how can I remove it?
So they pave the road before they try to drive the car on it.
Precisely. Let's look at the tangible ways they do this. First, they use massive buffer time.
Buffer time.
Right. A non-essentialist assumes the best-case scenario for every project, that traffic will be light, that no one will get sick, that the internet won't go down. When the inevitable disruption happens, everything collapses.
Because there's no margin for error.
Exactly. The essentialist actively plans for the unexpected by adding a 50% buffer to their time estimates. This simple act removes the stress of execution.
They also rely heavily on routine, right? Institutionalizing the essential.
Yes, instead of expending cognitive energy every single day deciding when to do their most important work, they build a routine that makes the execution of that specific task automatic.
Wow.
They essentially automate their highest priorities. Another fascinating mechanism of execution is the concept of extreme editing.
Like editing a book.
Kind of. We often think of editing as fixing typos, but a true editor doesn't just add corrections. Their primary job is to subtract. They remove everything that distracts from the core message.
I see.
An essentialist constantly edits their life, their projects, and their daily tasks, subtracting the trivial so the brilliant can shine through.
But to actually apply this closet cleaning method,
Right.
exploring deeply, eliminating ruthlessly, and executing frictionlessly, we have to fundamentally rewire our underlying assumptions about work and life. We have to change the invisible script running in our heads.
This is where the real behavioral shift happens. Because society constantly bombards us with the sirens of non-essentialism.
Yeah.
It's the little voice in your head that says, I have to do this, or it's all equally important, or the most dangerous one, I can figure out a way to do both.
The toxic myth of both.
To become an essentialist, you must actively replace those false narratives with 3 core truths. Instead of the victim mindset of I have to, you adopt the empowered stance of I choose to.
Love that.
Instead of believing it's all important, you accept the reality that only few things really matter. And instead of the delusion that I can do both, you embrace the ultimate truth. I can do anything, but I cannot do everything.
I can do anything, but not everything. That is an incredibly empowering realization, but it carries a heavy emotional weight. And I think it brings us to the ultimate stakes of why this methodology matters for you, the listener.
It's so much bigger than just productivity.
Exactly. Because this isn't just about having a cleaner digital calendar or being more efficient at the office. The text brings up the deeply moving research of Bronnie Ware. She was an Australian nurse who spent years caring for patients in palliative care, specifically in the last 12 weeks of their lives.
A profoundly difficult job.
Right. And she recorded their most frequent regrets as they looked back on their entire existence. The number one regret of the dying was not that they didn't make more money or work longer hours or attend more meetings.
No, it never is. It is a profound piece of data on the human experience.
The number one regret was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me.
Wow. And adopting the essentialist mindset is your ultimate practical defense against experiencing that exact regret. We aren't talking about retreating to a simpler time, abandoning your responsibilities, or moving to a cabin in the woods to ignore your email.
No, not at all.
This is an innovative, proactive approach to modern life. It is a systematic way to tip the scales in favor of what truly matters to you, ensuring that you don't end up at the end of your life realizing you allowed everyone else to draft your story.
It's the difference between actively designing your life and simply defaulting your way through it.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground today on this deep dive.
We really have.
We've gone from the brave simplicity of Dieter Rams' record players to the paradox of how success can destroy us, all the way to the final regrets of the dying. But I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over. We have spent this entire time talking about your professional schedule, your social commitments, and your physical calendar.
Right. We are constantly oversold the value of having more and undersold the value of having less. But what happens if you apply this exact same ruthless elimination to your own mind?
Oh, I love where this is going.
Think about your internal emotional space. What is the one emotional sunk cost you are currently carrying? An old grudge you are holding on to? An outdated expectation of who you thought you'd be 10 years ago? Or a past failure that is taking up massive priority space in your head?
Such a powerful question.
What would happen tomorrow if you chose to systematically eliminate that one perfectly good but completely non-essential mental commitment? What if you took the exact emotional energy you just saved and instead used it to just sit, think, and breathe? The power to choose what stays and what goes is entirely yours.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this custom deep dive. Until next time, remember to pause, filter the noise, and embrace the invincible power of choosing less.